What up, guys? How are we doing on this lovely Mother's Day? It's a great Sunday. Hopefully we can make this one short and sweet, maybe an hour or so. Since I've done a lot of stuff off stream, I'll give you an update on where we're at with the Test Your Might deal, and then we'll go over some other things on how this game operates. All right. All right, so we left off last time. We were getting, we were playing around with the Chopped Suey game mode, and we were having a bit of difficulty trying to get everything to work the way we wanted it to. And I think I got it now, and we're gonna go over some speed bumps here I had when getting it to work. So fix my there we go. All right, so where are we at here? We're at what, 19,200 lines or so. And let's go back to where we were. We could probably launch MAME now, because I think the latest build here is functioning as expected. Turn on some volume here for MAME, because I had it turned off. There's only so many times you can launch the same save state or the same stuff before you have to turn the volume down on the game. So let's go in here. Chopped Suey mode. What up, Curb? I'm here, just MK2. Alright, so we took off a few things we got to put back in, like the instructions and stuff. I basically just removed them so there was it was easier to isolate the problems I was having and fix them. But there was some interesting stuff, and I'll show it to you in a second. But I'm gonna show you that all the items should chop and work fine with no crashes, even the animations. So I've tried player 2. It's really tough on a keyboard. I can't do that on a keyboard, it's too tough. But anyways, seems to be working the way I want it to work. Animation works, all that good stuff. So one of the big problems is I don't know why they did it this way, but I'm gonna explain some of the problems I had. So as you know, originally the game, when you do a Test Your Might, there's only one material you chop through, and that's it. Pretty straightforward and easy. But going through all the materials like this, it takes a little bit of reconstructing of the logic there. And one of the things I found where there are three arrays here. Is an initial one. So when it makes your material, like say we're on this diamond here, which would be there's a material ID, and they go from 0 to 4 for the indexes. And obviously 0 is wood, 1 stone, 2's should be steel. I don't know why I have iron, but 2 would be steel, 3 is the ruby, and 4 is the diamond. And they'll go through, and when they make their material, they'll start with this array, and these are pointers to a sprite. So we'll take this FFDC 1320 here, and we'll go plug it into this hex editor. And you'll see it points here, but also you can see it's the multi segmented. It's got multiple segments. I don't know if multi-segmented is a word, but it's multi-piece, and it ends here. So if we follow this, it leads to the sprite structure here, which is, like I said, we have width, height, horizontal offset, vertical offset, graphic location, and then we also have a pointer to a palette. So if you look back here, my notes here, I've got the material type. I've got a C here for chopped and N for no chopped. So you'll notice right away these are mixed up, and it caused a lot of problems. And the P is for palette. It's got a palette on the sprite header here, which is very important. Whenever you make any kind of object, and it's not, let's say it's not a segment, like a second segment, like if it's the first segment of a sprite, even if it's multi-segmented, it has to have the palette pointer at the end of the structure. So that's why all these here have a P at the end that I've denoted. They all have palettes, which is great for the initial object creation. It makes the object material. The problem is, I'm trying to create these. Some of these are chopped from the get-go. Like they use the initial. It's real strange. I don't know why I did it like this. And so they would create the wood material object, and that wood material object, that sprite would have the chopped sprite, and then at the end of it, I'll actually show you here. Let's go into. I'll show you how they rectify that. So let's go here to this, and we have an address here. So we'll take this. This is the original test your might code we're going to look at here. I'll show you. All right, so here we go. It's going to load the stage up. And what we're looking for is create material. So look for it down here. It should be create material. Okay, so when it's first creating this game mode, it's going to create this first material, and it has that first array. It's denoted as pre-chopped, which, as I described up here, not all these are pre-chopped or no chopped, however you want to describe it. Same thing. Oops, didn't do that. Not all of them are pre-chopped, and that gave me fits because initially when I first got this working, I made it kind of follow the same logic they had, which was create the object, then just merely update the sprite to reflect the unchopped version of it. But that posed a problem. I'll get into that a little bit later, but back to how the material is created. So it'll introduce that pre-chopped array of all the sprites, and that all depends on what material ID you have. In this case, we had wood. So it'll create the object. And this routine here it's called table create segment bulk, and bulk denotes that it's going to be possibly multi-segments that we're going to conjoin to make one sprite. It was real common for all these games, and for some reason MK1 they did a lot more than MK2 and 3. MK2 and 3 you can have as little as 2 sprites that will create a complete fighter frame. In MK1 it's like 7 or 8, so that's probably why the game suffers a little bit of I guess latency, as you can probably feel compared to the MK2 and MK3 games. They feel a little bit faster, MK2 and MK3. I think it's because it's a little faster processing that stuff. All right, so anyways, it'll create the object. It'll position it depending on if you're player 1 or player 2. It'll give it the horizontal position, and then they both obviously are going to have the same vertical position. And then this is where it introduces the sprite that will be what you see, and it's this this pre-chopped array. So I don't know why they did it like this. They created 3 tables of sprites, and they're all mixed up. Like you saw up here, all these have palettes, but some are chopped, some are no chopped. So it just created the wood object material, which was in the chopped form. So then it's going to get down here to the part of the code, and it's going to introduce this array, the pre-chopped array. As you can see, is FFDB DA40. And it's going to take first sprite structure. It's going to put it into the object, which now the object is in register A8. Whenever a table is created or an object is created, it returns that object in A8. So it's going to put that sprite in the offset of 220 of that object. And that's how it gets passed. That's how it fixes the chopped version being created with the unchopped sprite that it replaces the chopped version. Because, you know, remember, we haven't quite chopped it yet, so that's a mess. That's a mess. And then after you chop it, there's one more array, and that's going to show the chopped version of it. And what makes things even more interesting is the chopped version. Some have palettes, some don't have palettes. So my logic on this is I'm just going to create I'm going to create one structure for each material. It just made more sense to have a structure. I'll show you the structure now. It's a lot. I feel like it's way simpler. If I were to introduce new materials in this, it would be really easy now. But so basically, this is it. This is it. Each line is a material. So you got wood, stone, steel, ruby, and diamond. And the first pointer is the unchopped object. Second pointer is the chopped object. Third column here is merely just the sound that it makes when you chop it. I'm sorry, the goal, the height, and what you need to achieve chopping it. And then lastly is the sound that it makes when you chop it. So it's very simple. You have unchop, chop, goal, and sound. That's it. That's your whole complete structure for each material. I don't know why they did it differently, but it was a mess. So you see the way I did about it is we went with let's see, 320. So the unchopped, the chopped one is going to be, for the wood, is going to be this guy here. And you see this already has a palette. That's what I need on all these. I just need a palette at the end. You know, of course, it's going to cost me, you know, an extra 4 bytes for each of these these sprite headers. But I mean, in the end, it's worth it. So if it has a palette, good. If it didn't have a palette, what I would do is I would recreate the structure here. So as you see here, here's the pre-chopped wood material. Could you see over here the no chopped, pre-chopped, however you want to say it? It doesn't have a palette at the end of the structure. So what they could have done, you know, theoretically, is they could introduce the unchopped material with the palette, and then after you chop it, they could have just replaced that that sprite and the object structure at offset 220. You know, that would have been the most efficient way. But for some reason, they didn't do that. I kind of think they started to do that. Like here with the steel, like these three were set up great. You have unchopped with the palette, and then post chop, that's all you needed was the sprite structure, the sprite header that didn't have the palette, which these were lined up perfectly for. So the steel, ruby, and diamond were set up great. It seems they had the wood and stone just ass backwards, and for some reason they just never fixed it. So it made them introduce a whole new array, a third array, to fix it. I don't know why they did that, but that's what they did. But anyhow, after fixing that, now we have all the materials working great. Wood, stone, steel, ruby, diamond. Then you could probably introduce, like, you know, if somebody had a suggestion, you can probably put like emerald in there or something. I don't know what the density of an emerald is compared to a, you know, ruby or a diamond, but wherever it is, we can put that in there easily with just a new palette. What's up, Inferno? What's up, Axel? Mega, what's up, buddy? So that's working great. What else we're going to talk about? Try to jot down some things to talk about. Let's talk about object pooling in FIFO and how this game works. So, you know, modern day programming, not counting C++, that I know of, there's automatic garbage collection that happens behind the scenes. But in the older games like this, where it was very primitive, you would have to do all that yourself. And I think one of the ways that you can control that is just object pooling. So they would create object pools, and it would keep things in check as far as memory goes and usage. And then the way they would keep track of what tables are used in this memory is they would use a technique called FIFO, which stands for first in, first out. So if I were to create an object like this this material here, this ruby, it would go to a specific place in RAM, and it would grab a pointer location. It'd grab an address at this specific location, and that location is responsible for letting you know what structure to use or what location in RAM to use for the next object that's going to be created. So it'll create that object, and then when it's destroyed later down the line, that object location, that pointer will get put right back to that specific location. So the first one in is the first one out. So a lot of times when you're doing, you got to be careful, and I've learned this the hard way in MK2. If you're doing all these processes at once, and making all these objects at once, it's possible to cross-write between these objects, and it'll cause you big problems and headaches. So I think that was one of the issues on MK2 Plus with the random select screen, the new one. I thought that might have been an issue here with all those chunks flying that was causing the crash, but in actuality, I found out what my problem was on that. That ended up being a wrong function I was using to destroy the old object, because the workflow on the object is we create the unchopped version of the object. When we chop it, we destroy that said object, and then we create a new object for the chopped object. And then when the next one loads, the next material will destroy the chopped material object, and then we'll create the next material object, and so on. So the way that works, let's see here. I'll give you just a general broad view here of what's going on. But first, all right, so when you get a lot of these processes, I tend to try to comment my my offsets in those processes. So I'm going back and forth. You know, I know what to expect and what processes have what data in them. For instance, this player control struct, this is the power meter one, and this is going to control the power meter itself, but it's also going to contain the player ID, which would tell me if it's player 1 or player 2. It's going to have, actually this should say pre-chop. This should say just object material, because we put chopped or pre-chopped in this 160 offset. This is how we find what object to destroy when it comes time to destroy it. And then we have a pointer to the meter graphic, which I don't recall needing much at all, if any. We have a pointer to the pre-chop, pointer to the post-chop, the actual ID we're on, the goal needed to chop the material, and then 230 is the goal indicators, and these are the flashing arrow and the line. And we're gonna go through here and brush it up a little bit, tighten things up, because if you notice when this thing first starts, you'll see that this meter is up here initially, and that's just the way I changed it up. Because typically when you first start this, test your might, it'll just load this one time, and that's all it needs, because you're only doing one material. But since we're switching materials, I went ahead and put this locating routine inside of the power meter, I think it was. Yeah, the power meter. So it's constantly cycling through, checking what the value is in offset 210, so it can adjust the arrow and the line on the fly. So when it changes objects and materials, it'll automatically adapt and go up and down. I don't have to recall that to relocate it. And that was also inside of another array that they had. And they, like I said, they had 3 arrays alone just for the materials, pre-chopped and post-chopped, but they also had an array for the sounds when you chop it, and they also had an array for the value. And like I said, when I rewrote that, I made it all into one structure for each material. Like I said, you got the pre-chop, post-chop, the goal needed, and the sound. So it just made more sense to do it that way, and I think it's a lot cleaner. And half the time, honestly, when I'm doing stuff like that, when I'm writing the stuff to work, you know, I'll get it to work, but then I don't like the way the efficiency is, and I'll go through it and I'll make several variations of maybe a routine that might be expecting a certain value in the register passed to it. I might try to incorporate that inside the routine itself. That way you don't have to pass along any values into that function. It can just pull it from like an offset. For instance, when we go, this was one of the good ones right here. We're passing along our offset for this control struct over here into A7, and then we're going to call this this routine. Doesn't want to follow it for some reason. And when you get in here, we'll have the material ID already waiting for us in the offset of 200. So this makes it so much easier. So we don't have to check. We don't have to check right here if it's player 1 or player 2 to grab the static address of the material ID, because there are pre-existing locations in RAM that tell us what material ID one player is or 2 players on. But this here, it's just going to store it in that structure. And then here we have this is the pointer to the new structure I made. This guy right here. And this is how we're going to calculate what structure to pull, what row to pull, what material to pull based on what material ID we have. So we're just going to multiply, our material ID by 60H, and that's going to give us our starting address for that. And then from there, it's just offsets. A1 is going to contain our material structure down below in the green here, and we're going to push that over into the process structure of offsets. 1AO, 1CO, 210, 250, and you can see all those over here. And that's what we use throughout the process of changing and updating and getting the sound, getting whatever we need. So that was one of the ways that I optimized that to make it easier. What else do we have here? Go back to the flow of process here. I'll just finish up this the way things flow here. We're going to create player 1. Going to create the actual fighter there. There's our power meter process or thread. Setting our initial ID. This is what we just went over. It's going to create the material. This flag here disables velocities for objects. This is important because if you remember, these blue meters and the yellow meter bar here, these things scroll in from the outside of the screen. So you want to disable that so those work correctly. And then from here we get the meter color, which is easily changeable. This is assigning velocity to the power meter, so it slides in from off screen. And here's our goal indicator thread, which shows our arrow and our red line. And then we store that goal indicator into our control structure. And then we also store our control structure back into the goal indicator. That was important because the goal indicator needs to pull the correct value for the goal of the material from that table control. As you can see here, there's a link between the two. Then the same thing happens for fighter 2. We can just close that down, and then after player 2's created, it goes into a loop, which basically is just the timer. You get the timer, it's going to create the first digit, it's going to create the second digit, and then it's going to go through a countdown here, gets down to the bottom of this code, it's going to jump back up here, actually it's going to jump right up here, and this is going to continuously count down that timer. When that timer ends, it's going to jump to this location called, I chose to call it Chopped Suey times up sucker. So it'll jump there, and there's nothing in there yet. So that needs finished there. And basically this whole, that's the process. That's the initial process in a nutshell here. So this is one process here. And from there we spawn more processes. We spawn the player control process thread. We spawn the power meter for each player. And then we also spawn the, see at the bottom of player 2, we also spawn there's a process that updates the power meter based on your button input. So that's what we're going on there. So, and how it detects, if you notice, there's nothing in here when we're going through the timer, the time loop here. There's nothing in here that reads your inputs. This resets things here, but there's nothing in actuality. This description, button input history, it doesn't have to do with inputs at all. It's basically just a place they chose to store a flag to whether or not to allow you to chop. So that's all it is. So they keep you from chopping by clearing that until it's ready to begin. So the way the chop comes in, the input, there's a continuous, there's already processes for the game in the background that detect all inputs, no matter what game mode it is. The inputs are processed in the background at all times. If you wanted to like filter out some of those inputs, you can check game mode, and if it's not said game mode, kill the process. So this would come into play right here when a chop is requested. This is hooked into the original input detection processes that are running in the background, like I just mentioned. And what we got here is, this is just, for instance, this is player 1. We're going to see if it's the custom game mode of Chopped Suey. If not, it's going to return and do the original code, which, the replicated bytes where it was checking control status. If it is, it's going to check control status, make sure, a player is controlling it. If not, it's going to kill the process. And then also it's going to make sure that the input history is 0. That flag we just described. If it's not, then it's going to end the process as well. If all goes well, it's going to execute the chop. So this pre-existing routine here is still used from the original game. It's just I call it prepare to chop. I think it's basically, if I remember correctly, it's just playing a sound, a hi-ya sound effect, and that's about it. And then from there, it's gonna move our control table. It's gonna jump into the continuation, which is down here. It's gonna set that chopping flag, so we can't chop again. We're already chopping once. We don't want to keep chopping. And then from there, it's going to find. Well, it doesn't have to find, because up here we denoted what table control that we have in A0. So A0 is going to have our control table here, and then what we're going to do is we're going to redirect that process to go to this code here. So it's taking a pre-existing process, which is running in the background already, and we're going to inject a jump location into it. So it's going to make that control table jump to Chopped Suey Fighter Animate Chop. And that's right here. So from here, it's going to calculate our character animation. It's going to load the animation. It's going to play another sound. It's going to play a 20 hex delay. Do a grunt. It's going to do the animation of chop. It's going to shake the screen if it's not already shaken. And then after that, it's going to pull those offsets from our control structure we have over here, our player control struct we were talking about earlier. It's going to check the value of our meter, and it's going to check the value of the material that it needs to break. If it doesn't meet it, it's going to jump to chop failed, and that basically just resets the animation and restarts the thing over. If it does exceed the goal needed to chop it, it's going to clear some instructions off the screen, just because we're going to have materials flying. So you want to clear any kind of strings that are on the screen just to free up some objects from the object pool that they're probably going to be needed. And that brings to mind something that needs to be tested. Multiple chops, both sides. You know, I want to see both players chopping multiple objects as fast as they can. I want to fill the screen up with so many flying objects. I want to see when it's going to crash. I think it might crash. I don't know. I haven't got that far, but that's something that we got to test. Reduce the movements. You know, Mega, that thought crossed my mind. That would be a lot of work, just because of the fact that all these sprites are already segmented and chopped into smaller pieces. You would literally have to go through and splice them together, and then, you know, I'm not sure the limitations for sprite size. That's something you'd have to know as well. Like, you know, at what limit do we limit the width and height of these sprites so the actual hardware can use them? And that's another thing when you're emulating on PC versus actual hardware. That's you know, that's a whole other ball game, because there are a lot of things that work on MAME, you know, that didn't work on hardware. I mean, I spent so much time on MK2 Plus getting Raiden's body electricity to work again. And I don't remember the specifics, but there was so much, man, there was so much curating I had to do to get those things to work. And most of the time they would all work on MAME, only to find out that when I burnt some ROMs and plugged them in, that something didn't work, you know. So you got that to contend with as well when you're trying out these innovative ideas. But let's continue. So we're going to take the strings off, because each string that's on the screen, for instance, these the numbers for the time clock, these are sprites. So each one takes an object, and then also each object on here, you know, these are 4 because it has one for the shadow as well. All right, an interesting thing. Let's look at this, because there's a bug in the game. I'm not sure what it affects, but I'll show you it here. I denoted it here. Bug fix in original game. Not sure what the flag does though. So my label on that was unknown flag at 105.1c00. So if we go back through here, let's see if we can't find that location in the original game. Game code here, execute chop. Okay, so look for stage credits. That should be easy to find. Okay, so here we go. So let's move this here so you can see. Did I lose it? Oh, here it is. Put a breakpoint there so you can see it easy in red. So going down to code here, they clear out the layer C credits layer of the objects, so it can free up some objects in the object pool. And then it moves the value of 1 into register A2, and then interestingly enough, it moves a value from RAM into A2. So that tells me that they wanted to move the value of A2 into that memory location. They didn't want to overwrite A2 register. So it looks like they meant to put probably a Boolean or something that they put there, just a flag. I don't know what it stands for, but that's the bug in the game, typo in the game. So if you have some free time, you like poking around with that stuff, you know, go poke around at 105.1c00 and toggle that flag during gameplay, and let me know if you find any difference in that. Not sure what it has to do or what it has to deal with. So, hey, what's up, Victor? It's good to see you, man. Or good to see your messages, at least. Ain't seen you since 2018. Was that 2018? 2019? Been a while. So anyhow, let's move on here. What do we got here? All right, so we chopped it. We cleared the thread, the object pool, the objects from the object pool. This is the new method that I've done that works great. Yeah, 5 years. It's been has it been 5 years? Was it 2020? I thought it was 2019. It could have been 2020. Time does fly though. So we're back here at we're chopping the material. We're going to preserve our register 88 value here. We're going to move to the stack pointer because we're going to need that back in A8. After we use that register here, we're going to move our current object into it, and we're going to call the destroy me routine here. And that's kind of one of the mistakes I had. I was initially calling destroy object. Yeah, let's see. I was initially calling destroy character segment and bulk. See, the bulk is what led me. This is what led me to using this one, because I knew some of these materials had multiple segments. I wanted to make sure that they all got completely destroyed and all the objects were freed up. But if you look here, this address that I was calling initially, this is at FFC862CO, and the one that ended up being the correct one was object destroy me, and that actually is 6140. So that's a little upstream, and I'll show you exactly what the problem was. So here's a destroy me where it starts, and I was starting down here, and this pretty much started at looking if it had a shadow. If it had a shadow, remove the shadow. If it didn't have a shadow, jump down here and destroy the segment. Check for see if there's any kind of related segments, which are always in the 20 offset. If it does, go up there and destroy the next one. So it just does a loop here at 62CO. So it would continuously loop through here until all the segments were done. And I thought that was the right move, but I found out that it wasn't, because there was a linking problem between. This is something that wasn't done in MK2 and MK3. At the 200 offset of each object, it verifies kind of the object pool links. So when there's a new object that's out being used at the 200 offset, it will link it to the next one. Later on, I think they realized that wasn't really necessary, so they did away with it at MK2 and MK3. But on here, it was being skipped when I was using the destroy character segment routine, which started here to here. And when I use the object destroy me method routine, it actually goes through and it transfers over the actual linking object to the next object. So that's where the problem was coming. It was destroying the object, but it wasn't fixing the link to the next object until I started using this routine in its entirety. So that was one of the problems I had, and after that, once I got the routines efficient and not just creating the initial one, but destroying the initial one, changing it to the chopped one, and then changing the chopped one to the new material, and getting the palettes and the structures all laid out correctly after fixing what Midway did with these material arrays. I mean, it's much better, much better. So we're gonna chop. We're gonna destroy the old one. We're gonna move that. We're gonna make the new post material, the chop material, and then we're gonna make shit fly. Materials fly here. This is an existing routine in the game, so I didn't have to rewrite any of that, thankfully. After that, we're gonna make the material sound, and here comes that the offset that comes into play when I made that new structure for them. We can just grab the sound right here. We don't have to load up an array, which, I mean, using another array for something else like this sound, it's not a bad idea. But if you ever wanted to easily inject a new material, you'd have to go through and add on to each one of those arrays, and then you have to keep track of how many arrays are out there, modify or add on to each new material, as opposed to if you just have it, if you just do it the way I did it, which it keeps everything in one line pretty much. It makes it a lot simpler, so we can easily add more. The hardest part would probably just be adding maybe a graphic if we had a new graphic, but if we were to use the same sprites for the ruby and diamond, we can just have a different palette for like an emerald or something, So as you can see here, the graphic location for the diamond and the ruby are the same. So as if you couldn't tell that they were the same, but there they are. So there's material sound. This is commented code from the original game code. Not sure, but I was gonna come back to this, and it might be a good time to do that. Here's this 105.1c00 address back in memory here. It's calling the value into A2. And this here tells you it's a flag, because if it's going to jump to a different location if it's 0. So if it's not 0, it's going to move value 3 into that flag. So it's not just a Boolean. It can have other values. That's weird logic there. They're going to see if it's not 0. 0, it's going to skip all this, but if it's other than 0, it's going to move 3 into that RAM address. It's going to play 2 sounds. Maybe we ought to see what those sounds are. You can probably put a breakpoint on that and put those values in. Haven't played a lot of Test Your Might in the normal game mode, so I'm not sure what I'm missing here as far as audio cues. Maybe clapping from the audience. F70, we have, so it's going to play 2 sounds. Go ahead and we can. Let's do. Okay, so we queued up Sub-Zero chopping here, but we're going to change his his ID. So the first value is 70. So we're going to see what that plays. Okay, another breakpoint here. Couple breakpoints. Pretty. $7E. Oh, it doesn't play anything. $7E is that stopping? Is that muting everything? Might be a mute call. Okay, yeah, let's go with that. Let's see what that. It breaks twice before the main screen, so let's see what the main screen. If the value is an A3. A3 is 0. Okay, so we'll do a state save here, and we'll punch these values in and see what we're missing here. It's gonna go 0 the first break, and then 13 for the second. But we're gonna go ahead and punch 70 in there. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to do 7E because where I explained 7E seemed like it was kind of like a mute deal. So we're gonna put 79 in there. Okay, that's the ending fanfare. We'll save that because we'll probably we'll reuse that. So that 105.1c00 address is checking for whether or not to play these audio sounds, but I don't recall when those play on the original Test Your Might. So Victor, if you know more about those sounds that are played in Test Your Might, I would like to hear. That way we can get that right. So I plugged in I think I plugged in a basic sound here. After you chopped it, not a big deal. From here, after that, it's going to check and see if it's the last object. So if we were to plug in more materials, we'd have to modify this value here because this is basically telling us that index 4 is the last material. What's up, Arturo? It is a good evening, 10 after. So let's see. Gonna check if it's the last ID. If we just chop the last one, if so, it's gonna jump down to here. Crowd cheer. When pose animation, delay, and destroy. So that would be the end of it. If, like I said, if it failed to chop, you would get like the thud noise, the delay, reset chopping flag, grab our material goal again, and then jump back up to the animation control thread so it can you can try again. Some other things we can put in here. We got material name. That's an idea. We can put that back in there. It's kind of like a minimalist approach right now, just because I'm not sure how it's going to act with the, a bunch of things flying, because you can really fly through those materials. I noticed that after you chop a material, the power meter doesn't get reset. It just naturally falls as it normally would. So I'm thinking after we chop the material, we should probably reset the power meter down to 0. I think that's probably a good idea. Otherwise, as I'll show you here, let's pull up our breakpoints here and get rid of the breakpoints. And we'll go through and I'll chop materials as fast as I can. And you'll see that the power meter stays up there. It just floats up there. So we're gonna go ahead and reset that. So it's not so easy. Try different fighters, because I'm so tired of seeing Kano and Sub-Zero after doing feels like 1,000 playtests on this.
Test your might.
You see it just stays up there. So I think we should probably reset the meter so it's not so easy. We'll do that. And also we will, let's see, let's go up here and re-enable the strings. All right, so that should put our strings back at the top of the screen. We're gonna leave out the material descriptions for now. If it runs great, do a massive chop fest, then we'll introduce those and see how they behave. But I feel like all those strings on stage and the materials flying, if both people are chopping, it might have a hard time staying on track. All right, so there's the strings. Let's do reset the power meter. Okay. So our chop goal, pointer meter graphic. Go back up here. There's our fighter. There's our power meter. 180 is our meter graphic. Let's see where. There it is. Player 1 table control power meter. So, okay, that I was trying to find where this power meter process was shoved into the offset of 180, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be inside inside this inside that code, the original game code. We fire this back up and we get a disassembly window here. And if we point to, what is that, FFDB? Actually, hold on a minute. I don't like the fact that when you click on this address control here, it doesn't select all the text. Because I immediately, when I click there, I just start typing, and I realize, oh, it's still got the curve PC word up there. So, all right. Anyways, FFDB DC70, I think, is the location for create power mode. Okay. Create power. Yeah, here it is. This is where it's stuffing the power meter into the control structure at 180 offset. So is it the power meter? Trying to figure out where that's stored. It's got to be in the power meter. I don't think it's in. Okay. Go through and put a breakpoint on that. It's been investigating. Actually, that's not going to work until we rebuild it, because we enabled the strings again, so the code addresses are going to be a little offset until we rebuild it.
Johnny Cage.
All right, so creates a power meter, and let's see what that 2, 4, and this is just creating an object though. So I'm gonna say what we're looking for is probably gonna be I guess it's going to be here. So we'll put a breakpoint on this process of FFTB F680. This is the one that actually looks for inputs. This one right here. Here is also the structure for the power meter. I think it's just a sprite, just an object. So if I had to assume that was it's going to be the yellow bar and its location. But we can play around with that. We'll see what happens here. We'll just
Test your limit.
Right, so this is the update power. 80. Okay, so this is the thread. So this is where it's looking at the input history here. And delay. And 130 are offsets that we're working with here. So let's see what this is. It's a routine here. AO, C6 and 3. C6 is 188 decibel. I gotta believe. Or decimal, I gotta believe that's probably the vertical location of this. And A3 is possibly the height. So we're gonna reset. If this is what it is, we're gonna have to values. But how is it? Let's see. Slice it to the right in half. That's how it falls back down. Less than 0 is gonna up. And this is pretty much the yellow meter just falling down, just making a meter fall back down. Here's the same values. We got C7 now, and 3. Just gonna reset to its lowest value there. Go through, it's gonna do the same thing. Okay, I see. So when it's shoving in, okay. Okay, so I get what they're using and why they're using those locations now. So let's go back in and let's document this stuff here. So button input history is, we already explained this. I was right about this. This is clear. We'll call it no chop flag. And then we need to look for the joy input history. Is checking to see if buttons are pressed. And I don't know if my locations are wrong or if they just didn't care about using the right location, but as you can see, they're checking for buttons in the joy input history. I mean, I could be off on that, but as you can see, we can actually open up. Let's open up the, let's see, that's the graphic. We already know that's the graphic. So let's go to 105, 14, 20. What we'll do is look.
The might.
All right. Son barged in and asked me something. Where were we? Oh, we're looking at the joy inputs. We have let's see, another. We got a pointer here at that location. 102. 102 4E10. Let's see what this is all about. Okay, as you can see here, we have values here at 102.4 ECO, the 63 value. If you watch that, that'll fluctuate as I press the buttons. And this, say for instance, if we C7, if we pulled this up to like A7, I'd expect this yellow line to raise. Let's see. Yeah, it did momentarily. So this is the vertical location. And I think 3 is going to be the, as that lowers, it's going to move it up. So as you increase this value, it's going to make this thing grow from top to bottom. Yeah, you can see how it grew. Okay. So what we'd have to do is, all right, let's possibly store, if we want to do this the efficient way, we'll have to store a value offset of the location of the inputs, and then reset that to C7 and 3. And that'll be our reset.
Sonia, Liu Kang. Test your mem.
Okay, so joy input history is 1420, 124B8. So you see it's a different one now, 102. 4B80. All right, so now we gotta find a good spot to store these locations. That is update power. All right, so I believe we can probably do. Okay, let's open up 105.12.70. So if we go 105.12.70. Our control structure looks like it's 105.30.90, and our offsets here. Let's make sure we have room for. Fairly certain we have enough room. So 105.30. Oops, not decimal. And then we're at 250 for the material sound, so we can do 260, 105.35 FO, and we're just pretty much checking this location here. 35 FO would be starting here. Making sure there's nothing else occupying those offsets, which we should be fine. So actually let's go into let's call this oh, actually, let's go over here and check. Make sure it's. Let's check where it checks the chopped. Did we chop it? Okay, so current value of meter. Okay, 180, 130 offset. What is A0? What is A0? Oh, we do. Okay, so it's already in there. Never mind. Okay, we're good. It is offset 180. All right, that's great. Great. Okay, fantastic. That's even easier than I thought. So resetting this should be a breeze. Hey, what's up, Michael? Yeah, I'm out of the algorithm. That's why I haven't streamed so long. YouTube's put me on the back burner, probably for notifications to all the subscribers. I bring you up to speed though, Michael. We have the chop and stuff all good. Right now we're polishing it. We're making improvements. We're gonna reset the meters right now in between materials. Add some more shine to it, and end it out. Find out how to end it out. Like, how do we, should we let the second player finish out if the first player already wins, or should we end it right there? What do you think about that as far as how the game mode ends?
Wait.
Yeah, pretty much curb. Whoever does it faster. I mean, there's nothing to really gain from it. I just thought it would be cool just to do all the materials as like a race with a buddy. You can just race them or something. I don't know. Instead of rock, paper, scissors, you can go to test your might. Alright, so that's saying 130. So if we plug in, just out of curiosity here, it's 102 for the 80. And 130, it's 102 for CBO. Make sure our address is right here. Yep. Okay. Great. Alright, so did we chop it? Yes, we chopped it. Copy that piece of code there. Chop failed. And we can probably, we'll do it right here. Reset meter after successful chop. All right. And let's see, what's that resting value? Is it like 3, isn't it? Yeah, it's 3, okay. 3 and then CO. We have to do 2 locations. We'll have to do 130 offset, which would be the value, and then we'd also have to make sure that the height of the graphic is also fixed, because if it's way up here and we reset it, just reset just the value, it's gonna just move the whole yellow square down. Sorry, so we have to go reach into A1, and we'll move A1 into the value 0 at 130. All right, so that's gonna put value in quotations here because it's not really the value, it's just a vertical location of it, which could be confusing if I ever came back here and had to redig through this code. I know what I'm talking about. All right, so it's gonna do that, and then from there we gotta figure out what the offset is of the other one. So it's 4CBO, and then if we just were to subtract 102 or C30, we get an 80 offset. So that's where we want to put the C7. Set meter. Height. All right, so 3 into 130, C7 into 80. All right, that's good. Let's make sure none of our registers are being overwritten that we need. We're using A0, A1. Already know that's going to be okay. A0 because A0 is used in the material sound function afterwards. I think we're good at tests here. Offset 130. Let's compile that, make sure we have no errors. Okay. Good. Let's try it out.
Liu Kang. Test your might.
All right, so when we chop now, it should reset.
Excellent.
Okay, so I think what we need to do, I mean, it's working, but it's got that leftover I think what we need to do is move that down a little bit. And also put a bookmark in here so we don't lose our position. Set meter, there we go. Our breakpoint there. Alright, so we'll take that. I think after the delay, right before it resets us, we'll reset it. There's a delay there. So we check it last. So we can keep the meter there if it's the last one as well. Which, if we do it after this, that's what indeed will happen. So okay, we'll do probably do it right here. Because we got that 30 delay here. Here's our sound. If it's the last one, it's going to skip the reset on the meter because we really don't need to reset it. And it's going to do it after it destroys. Okay. I mean, should we put it in the reset chopping flag subroutine? That's gonna get called also when you fail though, and we don't really want that because we like the way it kind of probably animates and falls down when you fail. All right, so we'll go with that. Breakpoint there also, so we can easily get back to this. Let's try this again. Now, I'm creating more than a minigame. I'm creating sleepless nights and headaches at some points. That's really not that bad. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't wake up sometimes in the middle of the night and I'll have a random MK just coding thought in my head. Alright, so let's see if this thing resets at a better time here. Alright, so there's our breakpoint. Probably should have disabled that. That way it didn't interrupt our flow here, but ain't no way I'm getting diamond on the keyboard. Okay. All right, so that works. That works great. I like that. That's better. All right, so next, Next, let's see what's next. Let's work on the ending of it, I guess. See, Kano 1. What we last one, we can do this, and there's also, we go up here and play get the fanfare ending, and then we can also so we'll play the sound. Let's get that in there. Take that from there. I don't recall hearing the crowd cheer. That's weird. I don't know if you recall that, but I don't recall that being in there. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's try it out.
Kano. Test your might. Excellent. Excellent.
Oops.
Excellent.
You know what? We have to. I think we're gonna have to end the background music. I definitely wasn't hearing the crowd cheer. But let's go ahead and compile this here and see how the sound works on this one. This is going to be a lot of button mashing for me testing this stuff. I can tell. Oh, you know what? Let's do. Let's make it to where I only have to chop one, shall we? Therefore, if it's the first one, that'll jump straight to that ending, and we'll see what sounds play. I'd like to get the fanfare ending sound in there as well as the crowd cheering, but sometimes the audio on this particular game, it doesn't work as well as you'd like it to, unfortunately. Like I tried looking into the clapping for Kano on the credits. It won't work just because of I think he does his yeah thing when he does his victory pose, and that has higher priority than the clapping, so it never plays the clap.
Kano. Sub-Zero. Test your might.
Okay, so there's our breakpoint. Oh, you know what? I messed that up. It's A0. That's why. Come on, Paul. Get it together. Try that again.
Kano. Test your might. Excellent.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good way to ending. I don't think I heard. Yeah, let me try it again. I don't think I heard the crowd though. I don't know if it's gonna play both, but if I had to choose between the two, I guess the fanfare outro music would probably be the best.
Sub Kano. Test your might. Excellent.
Okay, so that'll work, and then what we'll have to do is probably end player twos. Let the end player twos processes. We'll have to end the clock, and then maybe we'll put something up here. And it says like player one wins or something. Something like that. And we also got to fix what we got to write what happens when the time runs out. Right now, as of now, it's not going to do anything, and it's actually going to run into a new goal indicator process. The current process, the clock timer, is just going to roll right into a new process. It's going to create an extra set of goal indicators for player one. You'll see it here when it gets down there. They die, yeah. All right, so crowd cheer, it's not working. I had to put a little note there, not hearing it for some reason. Probably some audio priorities. This is the core routine. Probably has higher precedence over the audio routine 3. Like there's the indicator. It came back. What's cool about that? If we actually, I don't know if that's 105.12.70. It's not gonna be. Anyways, back to the finishing of this. Let's go clear instructions. Let me see something here.
Kano.
Alright, so let's see. Layer C credits of where the instructions are placed. Test your might, because we're going to probably replace test your might. Or should we just keep that on there and write player 1 or player 2 wins in the green font underneath it? We can probably do that. Since that's already cleared, let's go to how. Let's go and see how we did the instructions here. All right, so yeah, that's how we move that string to another layer. We can just wipe that out without wiping test your might. So we could probably just you know, basic string there. We'll just take that same string header and use a different different string in there, depending on who wins. Now, how do you want that string to? Do you want that string to show up before or after he does his win pose? Like, should it come on screen as soon as he starts his win pose? Or should that prompt show up at the end of his win pose? That's the question here. So let's see here. Copy, find, paste. All right, so that is a pre-existing string. So we're gonna go find that string because we want the string header. It's been a minute since I've messed with these string headers, so let's see if I remember how to do this. Let's see, that's our font style, that's our spacing, that's our center value, and I believe that is all we need. And then no pointers in there, so the immediate following data after is the string, so that's all we need. Okay. I can copy and paste that string header, but I think I will just copy and paste that. That run. Okay, so there's our string. Ah, crap. You know what? That's not the right format. So let me just record a macro here real fast. Well, that's not what I wanted. That's again. All right. 79. Okay, so what we need to do. All right, so we will. That should be all we need for that macro. Then we'll just Control Shift P. Okay. Not very pretty, but got the job done. All right. see. So all we have to do is we'll call that in there, and that should work. Let's do player 1 wins for now. We're gonna do a test here to make sure everything works great. Our breakpoints and try it out.
Kano, Sub-Zero. Test your might. Excellent.
Okay, so that was pretty simple. So that's that. Let's see. Let's collapse that. Let's get rid of that breakpoint. Keep that debug one there. There is another way you can reuse the same string header and just use a different string. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 words there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's like a 2-word difference. Actually more than that, because if we put in the code that would process the header, it'd be another chunk of code, so it would take more space, be less efficient. All right, so we can go through and we can say, let's see, we should be able to pull 20 offset here. 0 would be player 1, so just the runtime. And then what we'll do is call it that. Yeah, we're just seeing if it's player 1 or player 2, so we can put the right string in there. That's all. That is all. You see how this might be beneficial when, like, it's a close race and both people were to chop it at the same time, so to speak. You never know. Let's see. So we're gonna jump to. Actually, let's make sure we get that right. So we'll just copy and paste it. Let's see. Move offset 20 into AO. Jump to runtime if not equals 0. Actually, let's do this. Let's get a breakpoint on that. I'm just gonna see just in case. Wrong game mode.
Kano, Sub-Zero. Test your might. Excellent.
Okay, yeah, probably pushed it down. 105, 1270. Where we at? That's gonna be the location of player one's control structure. We'll see real quick here. 105, 3390. Plus 20 would be AO, and that is going to be 1. Okay, so what we need to do is do a bit set check on it said 0 and AO. So basically it's going to pull the value, the offset value, which in this case player 1 would be 1. Is the ID for his structure would be 1. So if you pull that in there and check the 0 bit there, it's going to be 1 for player 1. If the value was 2, that would be 0. So that's runtime if not equals 0. Alright, we got a backward jump to runtime if it is equal to 0. We're going to jump to player 2 wins. Going to put player 2 string in there and then show it. Okay. Check who owns. They won. Okay, so let's build that and try that out.
Sub-Zero. Kano. Test your might.
Save that state. We'll see if it works both ways.
Excellent.
Okay, so player 1 won. Player 2 wins. Should say player 1 and player 2 wins now. They're both winners. Alright. So we got that. It's kind of a little crude, but you know, it works for now. Alright, so that's a string. What else want to do? Want to we want to end player 2 the losers process. Probably gotta make it freeze in time there for him. You have a confetti gun go off on screen. That'd be funny. All right. All right. Let's see. So we want to kill the clock. Kill the clock. Kill the loser's process. And probably we can let's increase that delay to 80. And game over. Let's see. I have a game over jump somewhere. Huh. I forgot that existed. Oh, 5/18/60. Well, it's not relevant in our game mode. There's a flag that you set, it jumps the game over immediately. I figured that'd be a short jump. But sequence game over. Okay.
Excellent.
Player doesn't break material, the bar should be raised for him on that material alone. That'd be interesting. Really interesting. That'd be easily obtainable because, like I said, all those values for the goal, for the material to be chopped, is all stored within their control structure. All you have to do is bump it up. But we can, looks like we can safely jump to game over.
Scorpion. Fight.
Yeah, my MAME does not seem to like the 2500 symbol, so it does run a little slow.
Scorpion win.
That's what we need. We need a Johnny Cage sprite of him laying down. I think I've got it. Somebody made it. I think I remember who it was. I have to dig into the archives, but I think there is a sprite that I was going to put in a game, a proper laydown sprite. All right. Let's see what we can do. Got an idea here. I want to see what this does. This is interesting. Do that. We destroy all the other threads and then jump to game over. Open it, just does a freeze on everything. That's all, and then it jumps to game over. But I don't know the severity of that call, so we're gonna see. I don't know if I've ever used that. What happens? Megatech. Yeah, there's should be a build of MAME, specifically for the Plus games. That was built for it.
Volcano. Test your might.
Good old breakpoints. Hey, look at that, it did work. Like the size of that delay should be a little bigger. be a little too big for that delay. Yeah, a little bit. We'll probably give it a nice, let's give it a nice 80 delay there. It's destroying the threads a little too fast, and it's making all those objects just appear as if they're wandering in space at that point. So we'll do 280s, 80 before destroying threads, 80 after, and then we'll jump to game over. I want to put on here, I'm going to put an option on this application for the breakpoints. Enable or disable breakpoints. So if I wanted to use my breakpoints, little bookmarks, little like temporary bookmarks, like immediate break. Because I've got bookmarks over here, but God, there's so many bookmarks. I can enable and disable breakpoints when launching MAME. Alright, let's go ahead and try this out. Jumps to finish him, that'd be crazy.
Sub-Zero rages. Test your might. Excellent.
Okay. Let's see. Not sure how I want to change that, but. We'll just mess with the delay timings here just to get it better. It looks better with a little shorter time before and longer after.
Sub-Zero K. Test your might. Excellent.
Or if we wanted to, we can, I'm just trying to get a good balance between destroying all the other threads, because I'm too early. The piece is flying in the air, looks a little weird, but if you prolong it, the losing player is still over there breathing. So we can actually go and just kill the opposite player's thread if we want to. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go with that. That looks okay, I guess. Let's make sure everything got reset first. Let's go. Our game state is game state B. 90. No, because computer resets accordingly when it goes to game over. Okay, yeah, we're good. Alright, let's see.
Sub-Zero, Scorpion,
It's been a while since I tried this mode.
Liu Kang wins. Flawless victory. Fight. Raiden. Raiden. Finish him. Raiden wins. Flawless victory.
All right, let's see. We're pretty good on that for. I mean, that's pretty. You know what we gotta do? When we run out of time, we have to. We have to finish one last part on this, and that's going to be times up, sucker. There it is. The whole time I was going up looking for it, the location, and it's right underneath what I was just working on. So we can probably. This is gonna be. It should be an easy one. We can probably put times up. Notification, and then should we have a winner if someone is on a higher material level, or should we just call it game over with the times up and just end it? So let's see, we can probably do and we can jump up to the existing. What's the game do when it's out of time? Gotta keep it consistent, I guess. Make sure we have the same sound and all that good stuff that plays.
Kano. Sub-Zero.
Fast forward this. Okay. Let's do BP audio 15 core. see, B2 B0. Okay, so this is the actual velocities. You can incorporate a flash and string as well if we wanted to. We can. Five is okay. Let's see what A. I'm guessing that's our game over. Yeah. No, it's probably our colors for our flash over here, but we'll check it out here. FCA EC50. Ah, there's our string right there. There's our string, so we can easily adapt that to make that a little more fancy, I suppose. And if we wanted to, we could probably just jump straight to this, but I have to make sure that, let's see, 105, 1300. Doing a health check, and you know, obviously we're not going to have any health on either of these fighters and test your might, but if we're jumping into this, we got to make sure this data that it's expecting is going to be okay. Yeah, so that's not going to work. Okay. Oh well, we'll just carry some of that code over here. Let's see, 9F10H into A0. That's going to be our string. That's our times of string. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. And I don't know what this routine is. It seems to be a call to display this string in a unusual manner here, but Alright, so that should be a little more appealing, I would think. If it runs out of time, it'll show time's up. But what we don't have is we gotta get the gong sound in there, don't we? Just remember that. Okay, so it's playing 3 values to the. Okay, so it's clear. We got clear A3, call core. And then what else we got? We got 81 and 80. Those are all A3s, right? Okay. Velocities, I don't think it's required. Not sure what this 104 F630 address is. That's a different one. What I wanted to do, but okay. What was that 104 F630? I don't know, it's clearing it out. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's anything we have to implement. We'll destroy all threads like we did above. Let's see, so plays a sound, shows our string for 50H. Destroys a string and jumps. That's the game over. All right, let's try that out. Let's see what it does. What up, Liam? Challenge of the stream. Feels a bit laggy. Artur, are you able to play the game right now? It feels laggy, that means you must be playing it. It is laggy on my system. I explained it a few times, but I'll show you why. It's because I'm running it through debugger in MAME, and MAME is using 2649 symbols in the debugger, so that's why it's a bit laggy when I'm playing. That's all. So we'll let time run out here and see what it looks like. Let's speed it up. Yeah, you're right, Michael. The 3900X is showing its age. That's for sure. Have to get like a 9950 or something, right? Yeah, I like that. That'll work. Yeah, I don't know, Michael. I was going to think about doing a rebuild when I got a new GPU, but the prices of GPUs nowadays, I really don't want to buy a new GPU. 'Cause currently I still got the 3080's decent. Nothing wrong with 3080, so if I were to buy a new GPU, I would probably do a rebuild with a new Ryzen with the DDR5 motherboard and stuff. But at this point, it's okay for what it's doing. It's not bad. Let's see if I can't prove. Let's see here. Let's go into. Go out of there. Let's save this. What version does this launch? Out of curiosity. 934. Okay, should be the same one. Go in here and probably a better way to do this, but save that, and then dash MK or just MK? A while since I made a shortcut there. That's definitely not it. Okay, 934. $511, that's today's build.
Sub-Zero, Raiden, Johnny Cage.
You can see it's running a lot better without debug. Got to turn them crossovers on.
Raiden wins. Flawless victory.
Not the same without crossovers. Not sure how far I got with tag team on one player mode.
Scorpion.
We're gonna find out, I guess.
Sub-Zero.
Not sure if it actually even works in one player. I want to say it does, but it's been so long. I love the new ladder. So nice.
Fight.
And get it.
Sub-Zero wins. Flawless victory. Fight.
Yo, watch out for Fujin. He's liable to come out from anywhere. You never know. Okay, we're almost tagging on me. I was wondering why I wasn't taking damage on blocks because I got infinite health on debug. He added gravity on the juggles, you can tell. Multiplies the gravity.
Scorpion wins. Flawless victory. Fatality. Fight. Scorpion wins. Flawless victory. Fight. Sub-Zero. Great. Scorpion. Scorpion. Sub-Zero wins. Flawless victory. Test your might. Fight. Sub-Zero. Johnny. Scorpion wins. Flawless victory. Fight. Scorpion. Johnny Cage.
Oh, Johnny Cage. Yeah, that's an ice clone, but there's no AI logic for it. They'll just walk right into it.
Scorpion. Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero wins. Flawless victory. Fight. Scorpion. Sonya. Sub-Zero. Scorpion.
Man, that gravity multiplier for the juggles is a little crazy. Ha! Sweep me, will ya?
Scorpion wins. Flawless victory. Fight. Sub-Zero. Sonya. Sub-Zero. Scorpion. Keiper. Sub-Zero wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
Fatality.
Test your might.
Well, it's good to see the original Test Your Mights work like they should. After knowing how they did it, it was kind of crazy. No. Oh shit, it just got cold in here. We got 3 Sub-Zeros. Oh, that'd have been a... forever juggle.
Sub-Zero wins. Flawless victory.
Right.
Sub-Zero.
Uh-oh.
Excellent.
that gravity multiplier. It just isn't possible to keep that going. Cool, but
Scorpion win. Flawless victory.
it's something we could do. We can do more pallets.
Fight.
That's easily done. I say easy, but it's really tedious. It's one of the most tedious workflows there is making pallets.
Sub-Zero. Scorpion. Raiden. Kano.
Oh yeah, it's slot. Where you going, Kano? I've never seen this bug. It was able to slide out of bounds. We were to follow him.
Scorpion wins. Flawless
Evil Raiden. Evil Raiden would be cool. All black.
fight.
What was the hardest things to add to this hack of this game? I mean, this game actually got a lot of stuff that MK2 Plus got. Bottom on the tag. So, it's probably... the tag wasn't that bad.
Scorpion. Get over here. Excellent. Raiden.
But for this game so far, I'm gonna say it's probably the Chopped Suey thing. I thought that was gonna be easier than what it was. Even the Shang's Treasures was pretty easy, but
Sub-Zero win.
the tag was
Flawless victory.
kind of like a carrier from MK2 Plus.
Your might.
I'll have to look at all the things in here and see what
Fight. Scorpion.
actually this. It's crazy how I can jump back out of that.
Scorpion. Sub-Zero.
Get another one.
Scorpion.
And another one.
Sub-Zero.
What is the count? You know what?
Scorpion.
I don't have the combo display on. I really should have turned that on to see what that juggle was. Forgot about turning that on. Combo display was another good one, as far as mods done to it. Combo display was pretty cool. The
Flawless victory.
tags.
Fight. Excellent.
Maybe I'll add the Dullard code.
Excellent.
Remember the Dullard code?
Sub-Zero.
Got him on the come up here.
Scorpion wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
My favorites in the original game. I think Scorpion's been my favorite in the first game, for sure. All the CPU's not messing around. By the way, well, how do you guys like the how do you like the new variants, the daytime, nighttime variants of the stages? Like Warrior Shrine daytime. Oh, there's the exit. That's a funny bug. I don't even know if I want to fix that one. Oh, what is going on? What is going on here? What is this about? Well, are there supposed to be 3 fighters here? I'm so confused. This is hilarious. There's one of the, this is probably where the 2v2 is unfinished versus the CPU, because obviously endurance matches add a whole new aspect to it.
Scorpion wins flawless victory.
That's great. Ooh, I'm into Ice Clone.
Sub-Zero.
Oh wow. Got an extra hit in there. Huh. Okay, so my ice clone wasn't working.
Scorpion wins
Johnny Cage is in a daze.
victory. Fatality. Test your might. Fight.
See, that was the offset on that sprite for that flying kick is terrible. That's why I wasn't able to uppercut him. Got more Liu Kang here. Mo, some more hosts on pack. Yeah, offset. It's terrible. See that gap in between? I don't know what I'm doing.
Sub-Zero wins flawless victory. Fight.
Oh, look at that! Snuck in there for a.
Scorpion. Liu Kang.
Again, offset for Kang is just terrible.
Excellent.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. I have to check the punch blockers on those because that's pretty bad.
Scorpion. Get over here. Sub-Zero. Come here. Sub-Zero. Finish him. Excellent. Sub-Zero wins.
The Shadow of Cage
Victory.
flies in the pit.
Fatality.
I had to guess it should probably crash at Goro.
Scorpion.
Jeez, the audacity.
Scorpion. Come here. Scorpion.
The offset for her is pretty good. There goes a freeze. We're crashing. Boom. Well, maybe that's our next focal point there. Maybe we'll look into 2v2 tag on one player mode. That's a lot of fun. Let's see, I gotta catch up on some release notes here.
Kano. Fight.
Well, I think that's gonna be a good stream today, guys. Finally got some progress there. Looks like for the most part the Chopped Suey game mode is pretty good. Needs some actual real testing to see how it performs, but pretty optimistic with it. So we'll get that maybe in the next week or two. I'll put this on the machine here. Do some hardware testing on it and see how it performs. But I'm pretty optimistic. Stream things to do. Let's see. So we can probably this is all old stuff. We already got completed today. And we'll just write down some things. Complete Chopped Suey is okay. We'll do 2v2 versus CPU. What problem are we having in endurance mode? That's 3 fighters, which is not a big deal. We can maybe we can do 2 sets of 2 sets of 2v2. And crashes when throw is to enter. Okay, big things to do. That's done. Let's get rid of that. We don't need all that in there. We already looked into spine faces or spine rip faces. We just need to make sprites. Spirites, I can't spell. Need to make sprites for ninjas. I'll fix that. Done with Chopped Suey. I had to update this for at least no. Well, I'll update that later, but. Yep, that's a good idea, Liam. Good idea. We'll do things to do. We can go ahead and we'll just add that to the things to do list I already had here. Let's see. 2v2. We've got fighter dies in the middle of his fall animation. Sometimes first CP fighter doesn't get their thread killed. Sometimes the fight jumps in off screen. So thread damage transfer to the incoming fighter. 2v2. We'll add that there. Whole 2v2 in general. We're just in a whole subcategory of stuff there. Same with CPU AI. Give them brains. Added moves. Example, ice climb. Actually, we'll do we'll just put them here because there's got to be ice clone. Or teleport. Scorpion, I think we got Aerial Superman. What other new ones are there? There's a couple more. I think I was. Did we get Kano's Cannonball and Aerial Cannonball? I feel like that's a thing. And I feel like Liu Kang adding his Aerial Fireball. Can't remember where I got with that. Let's see if I can find out some. Concept graphics, I think. Yeah, it was concept graphics. That's what it was. We were. was aerial fireball was gonna be a thing. Still can be a thing. Comparison here. And I didn't make these. These were made by I'm having a brain fart here. I'm sorry. It's been a minute since I've talked to him, but he does really good work. And he's in the Discord. Done a lot of this, all that retro move graphic stuff. Like we also have this as well. As a low fireball for Liu Kang. And the aerial fireball has already been, the frames have been chopped up, and actually I want to say that that's probably already in the graphics here. It's probably already over here. If I go to the graphics side here. Yeah, so here's Liu Kang's sprites here for his aerial. That's already in the game. Did I? Now I gotta fire back up to see how far I got with it. Cannot recall. A lot of cool stuff to do. We also have, I was talking about this earlier here, we have Johnny Cage, a proper on the floor sprite there. Some other sprites here. Song sprites. Drips, etc., etc. A lot of good stuff in here that we'll try to get into the game. Here's a concept image that was made before Shang Tsung's Treasures game mode was coded. It's just an idea of what I want it to look like, and got it pretty dang close. So you have to get, that's another thing, we have to, now I'm in the Babality, so we have to get the ninjas over there. That's the things we can add to do. Graphics. We'll just put big sprite offsets. That can be a graphic category. Palette for reptile, that can be okay. We can do babies here. We gotta do, I think we have to do ninjas. And I believe Sonya for the Babalities. Let's add that to the list before I forget. Yeah, that's in the works, man. So we get these bugs worked out, some machine testing and conditions, and it wouldn't be too long before we hopefully get a stable release that I can cut loose and get some more testing on. So no bosses, Emperor. Bosses, I don't know. I've made provisions for them if I ever want to do it. It shouldn't be difficult, but at this point they're not on the radar. I got so much to do on this that that's an afterthought. No combo logic in 2v2, but they do have dumb luck with their jump kicks when coming in and out. But that would be a cool thing. I feel like it should be too difficult. Combo logic for tagging. It's not a bad request. Top metals like bronze, silver, and gold. I mean, you could add some stuff for sure. That's why I made those structures like that. So it makes it really easy to add. The hardest thing to do is just going to be adding the graphics, which isn't very difficult. Got a meticulous log of offset corrections with addresses and old values and new values. I like to log all that stuff, you know. Some people out there like it, and who knows, for their own good. But cancel the combo. Yeah, maybe. But all right, guys, that's probably gonna do it. I originally was planning on maybe doing an hour stream. I don't know where we're at now. I think we're a bit over an hour. Trying to find what did we start at? 5 o'clock? No, it wasn't that long, was it? Jeez, time flies, I guess. But that's gonna do it. I'll see you guys next time. Maybe like we'll do like a weekly thing. Maybe like Sunday or something. Like every Sunday. What I was thinking about also is I really want to do some streaming of my other project, because as much as I love the retro games, I love incorporating what I've learned into newer game engines. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Save this here and we'll get out of that. Open this up. I don't think I've live streamed any of this, so maybe we'll get some kind of stream going for this little side project here. Emperor for the most part. It's basically it's me just doing all the coding. I might have a guy that might make a sprite or two, and I've got some really good testers that test it on hardware. And Drew also does a lot of coding. He's responsible for most of the UMK3 Plus project. Find our forces on that, and he made a really good UMK3 Plus. So, but for MK1, it's primarily just me. So I try to do it when I get the free time, and it's been a little while since I've done it because life, you know how that goes. But try to make some time for it because I've got so much time invested in it already that I need to get it done. Because I know a lot of people want to get it, and I hate it just not being complete. So I try to do it when I get the free time, but you know how life goes. All right, so this thing finally loaded up. So we've got, this is my other project, and you know, obviously I can't. I have to state that this is not going to be released because of intellectual property, and I don't want Warner Brothers in my inbox again. But I've just kind of been doing some kind of 2.5D remake of MK2, and I'll try to show you the aim here. I'm trying to get, let me get some graphics here. This is what I'm going for with AI. As far as resampling. But I'm working on AI upsampling these old sprites and putting it in Unreal Engine and making MK2 in a 2.5 dimension. So basically in a nutshell what the layout is here. It's when you're not working with an orthographic camera, you have to do some tricks with the perspective camera to get it to look just right.
Round one, fight.
But
Get over here!
so that's my other project I like to toy with. But maybe one day I'll get back to that. Maybe I'd like to do some. Maybe I'll do some streaming with this if you guys like to see that stuff too. You know. Yeah. So there's guy here. This is the pit too.
one, fight.
Actually, let me do this. I'll show this off here. Let me go. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm gonna find out where my blueprints are for. Okay, master game mode here.
Round one.
Got to debug infinite health on. I'm trying to recall where.
Round one, fight.
I'm not gonna do anything. We got Sans health on, but we also have infinite health. Where did? Sorry, it's been a minute since I've been in here. I'm trying to figure out where my health value was for my game mode. Mode fight. That sounds about right. Let's see what we got here. Where is this at? Where is this? Flags, what we got here? Flags. This was in game mode where my cheats were at for the that I made for. Okay, that's it. No. No world. Public cheats there, but there's no. Missing something here. What am I missing? What am I missing? What happens when you come back to a project and you haven't worked on it in forever? You lose where you're at. Story of my life with all these projects, so. Not that. Is this it? Settings. Okay, there we go. That's what we're gonna do. Settings, it's not audits. Okay, yeah, so this is, I got this laid out kind of like the CMOS settings. Replay, all that good stuff, turbo, secret fighters, computer. And I think disable violence. Okay. Immortality. Why that's not even a thing.
Round 1, fight.
Oh, okay, hold on. Settings, MK settings. All right, so I think I know what's going on here. Reference viewer settings, game instance, browse assets. There it is. That's what I was looking for the whole time. Okay, so anyways, back to what were we doing here? We were trying to turn off the infinite health there. So it's going to be in settings. And what was that? That was setting 24. Better names for this. Yeah, see, it's turned on right there. Fantastic.
Round 1, fight. Finish him. Scorpion.
It's obviously not the way it's supposed to be.
Round 1, fight. Finish him.
Let's see what's going on there. Oh, I know what that is. Okay. Needs more work on that part, but you can see that video on YouTube, so it's not a big deal. Unfinished work there, but anyways, that's my other project. So hopefully when we get some more time, maybe we'll do some streaming on that, get back into that. But actually UE5. So, but all right, guys, I'm gonna take off. Been here for long enough. I appreciate you guys coming by and checking it out. And I'll see you guys next time, man. Creeping, no C++ code. That is all blueprints, man. That's all blueprints. So, but all right, guys, you guys have a good night, and I'll see you next time.